Welcome, my dear listeners. Stay with me to get the news first and subscribe to the channel. Let's find out what's going to happen on Royal Family. The first stop on Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's trip to Australia is a statement. On day one in Melbourne, the Sussexes went to a hospital that had a special royal connection. Some people have compared Prince Harry and Meghan's 4-day visit to Australia to a royal tour. The couple, who stopped being working on royals in 2020, last went to country together in 2018. This time their schedule is full of visits to charities and private, paid visits. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex could have started their tour anywhere, but they made a strong statement by starting it in Melbourne. On the morning of day one, they went to the Royal Children's Hospital, which Princess Diana and Prince Charles visited during their royal tour in 1985. The medical center is one of the best children's hospitals in the country. Queen Elizabeth II and the late Prince Philip have both been there before. In 2011, Queen Elizabeth II opened the Pediatric Care Center and toured it. There were so many places the couple could have gone on day one that it's not surprising that they went to the same places as Harry's mother and father. Harry told retired rugby player Gareth Thomas in a podcast interview in 2022 that he had made the decision to continue Princess Diana's work and legacy even after stepping down from royal duties. He said, "I think that once you meet people and see the pain in the world, you can't just turn your back on it. Then there's the fact that my mom's work isn't done yet, so I feel like I have to do as much of it as I can." The Duke and Duchess visit happened 41 years after Diana's. Professor Christine Kilpatrick, AO, the hospital's board chair, told people, "Look around and you can see the crowds of people, the smiles on their faces, and what it means to them." The Sussexes will also go to Canberra and Sydney while they are in Australia, and everyone is watching them closely right now, especially their schedule. Emily Andrews, a royal correspondent for Women and Home, says it's quite confusing that they're doing public visits, as this is categorically not a royal tour, and they're not representing King Charles or the royal family. Before they stepped down as working royals, Harry and Meghan reportedly wanted to have a half-in, half-out arrangement. According to royal historian Hugo Vickers, Queen Elizabeth did not like this idea. In his biography of the late monarch, he writes, "Harry wanted a half-in, half-out arrangement, whereby he would be self-financing but could still work for the royal family." In the new year of 2020, the three private secretaries, Sir Edward Young, Sir Clive Alderton, and Simon Case, went into summit mode on the Sandringham estate and drafted their proposal. Harry went to Sandringham for the meeting and was told he had to be all in or all out. He went back to Canada, but he didn't want to. The author said, "Prince Harry and Meghan are back in Australia, and the mood around their visit is very different from when they came 8 years ago." According to the Associated Press, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex arrived in Melbourne on Tuesday, April 14, for their first trip to Australia since the official royal tour in 2018. Reuters said that the welcome was noticeably quiet. People are saying that the couple's return is not a royal-style tour for the crown, but a low-key, privately funded visit focused on charities, mental health, and veterans. The arrival itself told part of the story, according to ABC News. Harry and Meghan flew into Melbourne on a commercial flight from the United States and were met on the tarmac by a private vehicle. People, on the other hand, said that they traveled business class from Los Angeles and didn't get the kind of formal media welcome that used to follow them everywhere. Archie and Lilibet, their kids, stayed home. The trip was planned for around 4 days of public and private events in Melbourne, Canberra, and Sydney. Their first stop was the Royal Children's Hospital in Melbourne, where they met kids families, and stuff. ABC said they spent about 10 minutes in the lobby where Harry talked to people and Meghan hugged kids while cameras clicked. AP's coverage and photo captions also show the couple visiting the adolescent oncology and rehabilitation ward, talking to patients and spending time in the hospital garden. It was the kind of public-facing charity moment that has always worked best for them, and it immediately made the rest of the visit feel more relaxed. Meghan then went to a women's shelter in Melbourne. People said she went to Macaulay Community Services for Women by herself, where she wore an apron and helped serve lunch to the residents. The center helps women and children who are homeless or victims of domestic violence, which is a great match for Meghan's growing focus on advocacy work in her public appearances. She even joked with her guests that she had just gotten back from a trip and was still getting over jet lag. Their day together didn't end there. ABC said that Harry and Meghan put on aprons again later and went to Australian National Veterans Art Museum for a pottery class with veterans' kids. Meghan made a clay ostrich. That veterans trade is important because it is directly related to one of Harry's main causes. Reuters say that the trip is mostly about sports, mental health, and veterans issues. ABC said that Harry will keep going to events for indigenous people and mental health issues during the week. The changes in context is what makes this trip feel so different from 2018. Reuters reminded readers that the Sussexes left the royal family in 2020 and moved to the US because they wanted to be financially independent and were tired of the media getting in their way. The Associated Press also called the current visit a low-key 4-day trip and said that the private funding language is similar to public complaints in Australia about the high cost of policing. To put it another way, the old excitement about royal tours has been replaced by a more complicated mix of charity, business, and public scrutiny. The security debate makes the tension even clearer. Reuters say that the couple's travel is paid for by private donations, but local news outlets said that some of the cost of policing will still be covered by Australian taxpayers. This led to a protest petition with more than 45,000 signatures. Des Wilson, the leader of the Victorian opposition, told ABC that it should appall Victorians if the two get taxpayer-funded protection while acting as private citizens for business purposes. People are talking about more than just who went where during the visit. It's also about who pays when Harry and Meghan come back as regular people. The commercial aspects make that debate even louder. People say that Harry will give a keynote speech on mental health in the workplace at the Inter-Age Psychosocial Safety Summit in Melbourne, while Reuters said that Meghan will stay in Australia to host a wellness retreat at the luxury beachside hotel in Sydney over the weekend. Tickets for the retreat start at $2,699. ABC also said that the couple will go to private meetings and special projects in addition to the charity events. That mix of public service and paid or private programming is what makes this trip so different from their previous official tours. The visit also has a strong emotional echo because of what happened the last time the Sussexes were in Australia. Reuters and People both said that they were still working royals when they went on their official royal tour in 2018 and announced Meghan's first pregnancy in Sydney. People also said that Archie was born after that tour in 2019, so this return isn't just a trip back to the same place. It's also a reminder of how much their public lives have changed since then. People in Australia have had mixed reactions, which is also part of the story. ABC said that some people on the couple's commercial flight were happy to find out they had been traveling with the Sussexes, but others on the ground were much more doubtful. Reuters said that the welcome was less enthusiastic than in 2018. and local news has focused on the tension between people's interest in the couple and their anger over the cost of having them there. The visit feels very public and yet strangely private. The hospitals and shelters are warm, but the larger debate is very cool. The way the itinerary is set up says a lot. The Royal Children's Hospital and the Women's Shelter were in Melbourne first. Next is Canberra, where Harry is supposed to meet with veterans of the military after that. Sydney finishes the joint leg with sailing and rugby games, and Meghan stays behind for the wellness retreat. Both Reuters and People make it clear that the kids are not going on the trip. This keeps the visit focused on work, causes, and carefully chosen public moments instead of family display. That might be the most important thing to remember from the whole trip. Harry and Meghan are back in Australia, but they are not working royals. AP made it clear that their visit is being paid for privately and they stepped back from official duties in 2020. Reuters, on the other hand, stressed that the trip is focused on veterans, mental health, and sports. This return is softer and more planned than the famous 2018 tour. It comes with more doubt, more politics, and more economic debate than praise. Still, the first day showed why people are still interested in the couple. Harry was calm with patients, Meghan was friendly with kids and residents, and both seemed at ease in situations where they could still show empathy without having to act like royalty. Both the AP and ABC reports on the hospital visit show real interaction instead of stiff formality, and People's account of Meghan at the women's shelter gives the day a service first feel. The Sussexes stop in Australia is built around a message they know how to sell, being seen with a cause attached. For now, the trip is a reminder that the Sussex story has gone way beyond palace balconies and official motorcades. Now it's about business class arrivals, private travel, public debate over tax fare policing, and carefully chosen charitable stops in cities that still remember the last time they came through in royal style. Australia is the setting for that new chapter, and this visit shows that Harry and Meghan can still get attention no matter where they go. If you want the short version, they came in quietly, were warmly welcomed at the hospital. Meghan worked alone at a women's shelter. Harry stayed focused on veterans and mental health, and people are watching the whole visit through the lens of security costs and commercial interests as much as charity. That is the story Australia is telling about them right now, and it is very different from the happy royal tour of 2018. And this is where the real story begins to unfold, because that first stop wasn't just a visit, it was a message, and maybe even a reminder of who Prince Harry believes he still is. Walking into the same hospital once visited by Prince Diana, that's not, it's emotional, it's symbolic, and honestly, it feels like Harry is quietly rewriting his own role outside the palace walls. But here is the tension that makes everything feel a little uneasy. This isn't an official royal tour, and yet it looks just enough like one to make people question where the line really is. And that's why this moment feels bigger than a hospital visit, because it sits right in the grey space between public service and personal brand. In my opinion, that's exactly why reactions feel so divided. Some people see compassion and continuity while others see confusion and contradiction, and both sides kind of have a point. Because let's be honest, if you step away from the royal family but still walk in those same footsteps, what are you really trying to prove? And what about Meghan Markle, quietly building her own path alongside him? Does this visit strengthen their independence or blur it even more? Here's what I think is coming next. This trip won't explode into drama right away, but the conversations around it will grow louder, especially as the mix of charity and business becomes harder to separate. And that's the real cliffhanger here. Now what they're doing, but how the world will choose to see it. So now the question turns to you. Do you think this is This was a heartfelt tribute or a carefully planned statement? And can Harry and Meghan truly create a new identity without being pulled back into the shadow of the old one? Stay with this story because the next move might not come from them, but from the reaction that follows. And that's where things could shift in a big way.